Hi, everyone. Welcome back. If you're here for the first time, I'm Tom Masseri, sometimes known as the grandfather of channeling. I work a little differently than other channels do. I don't channel aliens or collectives or multiple entities or sources. I channel one source only, and that source is Abram, who was a Mayan shaman in his last incarnation.
Welcome. I'm Susanna Masseri, psychic medium, author of Living Beyond Death, and host of the podcast Metaphysical Hippie Chicks 2.0. Today, we're going to be talking to Abram about part 3 of animal consciousness, and we're going to touch on subjects of DNA, our responsibility to animals, and subjective experiences of animals and humans. So let's get to it and talk to Abram.
Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Susanna.
Hi, Abram.
And what do we have today?
How about we start off with DNA between animals and humans and how closely related we are to animals, DNA-wise?
More than people think.
Absolutely. My first question, and I just came across this morning. I hadn't heard about this before. There's a famous philosopher. His name is Thomas Nagel. In 1974, in his essay on philosophy of mind, he asks whether we can fully understand what a bat's conscious experience is like. Now, bats share about 98% of our DNA.
Yes.
But they're made completely different. Their nervous system, everything, they go by sonar, fly at night, and their building blocks are arranged and regulated differently. And his question was to people, what's it like to be a bat?
First of all, understand what DNA really is. It is, by all accounts, the expression of one's consciousness. People are related DNA-wise to many animals, and many people do not know that, don't understand that. What is it like to be a bat? What is it like to be a human being? You have your beliefs, you have your wants, wishes, desires, demands, problems, situations, and all the rest. Bats almost mimic human consciousness, almost, in the sense that they have their own understanding of their own reality, as all animals do anyway. But a bat will understand himself more so like a human being does, and other animals will understand themselves more like who, what, and why they are, and not so much like a human being. Bats are those creatures, call them creatures, who are extremely intelligent, as all animals are, but to a degree. You can communicate with a bat. Sounds crazy. Sounds stupid. Just like you can communicate with other animals. Again, sounds crazy. But it is a definite possibility. But you must understand how a bat communicates, understand how a dog communicates, a cat communicates, an elephant communicates, a pterodactyl communicates, and all the rest. They have their own way of communicating. It is all done telepathically. A dog or a cat will project images to you. And when you are open and aware enough to receive those images, you will be in communication, in a conversation with your dog or your cat. With a bat, this is all done telepathically. Sounds a bit crazy again. You get a feeling inside of you of what a bat is telling you, communicating to you, talking to you about. Again, sounds really crazy, but this is the way it is. To communicate in return with the bat, think of what you would like to say to the bat, and charge your thought just a bit with an emotion, the emotion of excitement. This is how really you communicate with a bat. People think bats are creepy, flying things, get stuck in your hair, and all the rest. No, does not happen. They know, just like a dog does, who is a decent human being and who is not that decent of a human being. So to be a bat, ask yourself, how is it to be a human being? Because you are closely related to a bat. Thank you.
Sometimes when I communicate with animals, it is telepathically.
Yes.
Sometimes I get feelings.
Yes.
Sometimes, not always, I get visions.
Yes.
Pictures. So if a medium, such as myself, wanted to communicate with a bat, just approach it with a feeling of excitement and just be open?
Approach it more so with a feeling of, and this sounds crazy again, togetherness. You and the bat are one, because both of you are of consciousness, and both of you share a lot of DNA. So approach it with togetherness in mind. Continue.
Do bats dream?
All animals dream. All of them. They all dream. Now, this is going to sound crazy also again, but here we go. Let me be crazy. Insects also dream, but they have their own variety, their own way of dreaming. Not like a human. They become their dream in their sleep-like state. They don't go to sleep. They kind of just stop operating for a while until they begin operating again. Dogs, cats, elephants, pterodactyls, all of the rest of the animals, they all dream. They all have their dreams. Watch your dog. When your dog is sleeping, and your dog might start kicking its legs or moaning and groaning or barking gently, the dog is having a dream. When you dream, many times you become your dream, just like a bat will. But usually, you do not remember your dream. But what you can do is, when you awaken, check your emotions, because emotionally, there is the meaning of the dream within you, emotionally. Check your emotions. When you hit on the proper emotion or emotions, then you will discover or uncover the meaning, the purpose of the dream, what it means for you, what it can do for you, and all the rest. Thank you.
Even ants and cockroaches?
Yes.
All right, so communication, as long as we're on dreams and communication. Communication with animals. Whales have their whale songs. Prairie dogs have a language. Bees communicate through dance. What communication... I don't know what I want to ask here. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry, my friend. All animals have their own means of communication, communicating, their own ways of communicating, their own ways of dreaming, communicating in their dreams, and communicating with their dreams. If you have 2 or more dogs or cats, watch them when they are sleeping, because they will share their dreams. Now, sometimes people do that also, but only at times. Do people wake up, hey, I had a dream about you. Well, crazy, but I had a dream about you. We were doing this, that, these, them, and those. Yes. We were doing all of that. And both people get so excited that they shared a dream. They don't understand that one person's dream is a dream that can be had by everyone. You have 2 people. One person on one side of your earth, the other person, person B, on the other side of your earth. They both have the same dream, giving them the same idea to invent something at the same time. It is all done by, with, and through, and because of consciousness, because everyone and everything is consciousness, and everyone, everything is related. Watch your dogs, watch your cats. You can learn many things from them. Thank you.
There's an old thought that the size of the brain has something to do with...
Has nothing to do with it. Continue.
Thank you. That was quick and easy. I guess we can move into the ethics of animal consciousness, and I think we touched on factory farming, and I don't know if we didn't talk about animal testing. We didn't talk about wildlife conservation and what we can do to support animals and support their life, and how we can have something like different types of corridors. You know, what I mean by that is some cities have built bridges especially for the animals to cross over an interstate, and it's grass, has trees, and it's specifically for the animals to cross. That's one way that we can support them in urban living. Factory farming, I think we touched on this before.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a lot of animal cruelty.
Yes.
That goes on in the world.
Yes, because most people, do not understand and they do not care to understand animals. To most people, or to some people, at least to some people, animals are just things, little beings that they have control over, dominion over, can treat them any way they want, because they are not equal with human beings. Understand, realize animals are a part of humans, as humans are a part of animals. The best way to support animals, if you cannot build a corridor over a freeway, understand the animal. When you understand animals, you begin treating them more as an equal, which is the way it should be. And should is not, well, not a bad word to use this time. You know what I mean. Not a judgment word. When you understand animals, you begin treating them as an equal. When you do that, animals then begin to understand and take on parts of your reality and your environment, which allows them to become more a part of you and allows you to become more a part of them. Human beings are very intelligent. Animals are extremely intelligent. Human being consciousness is grand. Animal consciousness, well, it is above human consciousness. And I have gone into this before, but quickly, because animals don't judge. They don't plan their day according to time like human beings do. They operate, function with, and by, and on instinct only. People solve problems logically, using their intellect. Well, if I do this, the problem might go away. If I do that, it will go away. There is a problem. Why is there a problem? First of all, because you created the problem. But is it a problem? No. Problems are creative opportunities. This is how I look at a problem. A creative opportunity. Not to fix, but to allow to be what it is, because all things work themselves out always for everyone's highest good, no matter how it might seem. Animals have no problems. They create their day based on their instinct. If people would do that, human life would be a lot easier, a lot more gentle, a lot more fun, a lot more rewarding. Thank you.
All right, now we've touched on the octopus.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said that they are really from another world.
Yes.
I believe that, absolutely. I've always believed that. They are so far away from human DNA. There's like nothing, no comparison at all. They are extremely intelligent. Are they the most intelligent animal on Earth?
Almost. But yes, in their own way. A dog is the same in its own way. A cat, the same in its own way. A pterodactyl, an elephant, the same in their own way. Octopus creates and recreates its own not only environment, but world, entire world, underneath the oceans, underneath the waters. They create their own world. If people were able to create their own world, can you imagine then what reality would mean? Or would it have a meaning? If people would create their own world, would reality still have a meaning? When an octopus creates its own world, reality has no meaning. Everything through the octopus is neatly tucked into the world they create and recreate, and they live in that world. They become that world. So when you talk about intelligence, in its own way, an octopus is the most intelligent form of life known to man at this point in time. But there will be others that will be more intelligent in time to come. Thank you.
There's a problem with animals that are in captivity and experiencing depression.
If you were to be in a cage, how would you feel? If you were to be a captive, how would you feel? You have feelings, of course you do. Animals feel. Animals have feelings, of course they do. You would feel the same as an animal would feel being in captivity or being in a cage. Dogs in cages who are kept become despondent. They become lethargic to a degree. But they all know that someone is going to come and rescue or adopt them at some point in time. Animals feel, no judgment, they feel. But as human beings hold on to their feelings, animals do not. They let go of them rather quickly because they know in their world, in their reality, eventually everything will work itself out for their own good. Thank you.
What do you think about zoos so people and children can have an experience of seeing different types of animals? I wonder if a zoo, some of them are small, would promote the depression and everything else. Now, there's zoos that I've heard, I think it's the San Diego Zoo, that's quite massive. And does that help? And should we be keeping animals captive at all? I mean, we have animals that we domesticate and we have as companions, but should we even be doing that? I mean, not the domesticated animals, but the wild animals, and keep them in zoos and things like that.
My thought is a wild animal should, not a judgment word, but should be left in the wild. When in captivity in a zoo, they become a different animal. They lose sight of their intellect. They lose sight of some of their emotionality. They lose sight of a lot of their power to be themselves in the wild. They kind of conform to be in captivity, to be a captive. They kind of conform to that, but not really. So my thought is the best thing to do with a wild animal is to leave it in the wild. This is their domain. That is their reality. As long as there are zoos to keep animals, let me say hopefully, and I know hope leaves room for failure, but hopefully those people running the zoos understand animals and how to treat them in the best way. Because, after all, animals are your brothers and sisters. And how would you treat your brother or your sister? Thank you.
I think that's all I have, unless you want to add something else.
The only thing that I would like to add is understand animal consciousness is a lot like yours and many times above your consciousness. So if you are, or if you know of a person who mistreats their dog or cat, think about what you are doing. Because when you mistreat an animal, being that they are closely related to you, you are only and always mistreating yourself. Check your emotionality. Check your emotions. There is something, maybe a pattern, an old pattern, a lifetime pattern that keeps replaying itself over and over again, that is making you mistreat an animal. Because something is not right about you, so you take it out on your animal. So, check your emotions, my friends. Check them. And should you find a not-so-good emotion taking place or an old pattern that is not serving you, begin to change it. And as you begin changing it, you will begin to understand your animal, your pet, your brother or your sister even more. And understanding them even more, you will find yourself treating them just like you would like to treat yourself. I've enjoyed being with you, my friends. Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you, Abram.
Thank all of you. Enjoy your day. Love your animals. Love yourself. And we will see you again. Thank you again.
I would also like to close with a quote from Chief Seattle. If all the beasts were gone, men would die from great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beast also happens to the man. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of the earth.